Welcome to today's transformation dive into the hidden forces shaping your financial reality. Ever feel like your wallet has a little rain cloud following it around? Or maybe it feels more like a leaky faucet that you're constantly trying to plug with your finger. You're not alone. Let's talk about what's really going on. If you're into real, actionable money and mindset content, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think in spreading these ideas. Also, drop a comment with where you're watching from or your biggest money habit win, no matter how small. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. Okay, deep breath. You open your banking app, and despite yourself, you flinch. You've been avoiding this moment, haven't you? That familiar tight knot forms in your stomach. It doesn't seem to matter how much is actually in there. Maybe you have a decent cushion. Maybe you're scraping by. But the core feeling often remains the same. It's just not enough. The bills feel like they're multiplying on the counter. That unexpected expense just landed like a financial meteor strike. Or perhaps you just scrolled past someone's highlight reel online. The new car, the perfect vacation. And suddenly, your own hard-won progress feels tiny, insignificant, maybe even pathetic. This isn't simply about the digits on the screen. It's about the feeling they provoke, the anxiety they trigger. You tell yourself this stress is normal. It's just part of being responsible and realistic. But deep down, it gnaws at you, a constant, low-grade state of lack. It's the financial equivalent of always feeling slightly thirsty, no matter how much you drink. The world, or at least the loudest parts of it, constantly tells you that money is like a shrinking pie, and everyone else is a competitor, elbowing to grab your slice before you even get a forkful. This perceived competition feels incredibly fierce, and the narrative is clear. If you're not constantly hoarding, meticulously skimping, and perpetually worrying, you must be falling behind. This isn't just a fleeting thought. This is the pervasive myth of financial scarcity. It's the deeply ingrained idea that resources, especially money and opportunity, are inherently limited, and therefore, your financial gain must inevitably come at someone else's loss. It feels so undeniably true because in moments of panic, when you're staring down a bill or comparing yourself to others, it becomes your personal reality. This powerful, limiting mindset dictates your financial decisions, or lack thereof, fuels your deepest anxieties, and cruelly keeps your focus locked onto what you don't have. This fixation on lack blinds you to the incredible opportunities that are often right in front of you, unseen because your vision is clouded by fear. Here's a surprising truth. This feeling isn't a true reflection of your actual financial potential or current circumstances. It's a powerful, limiting mindset that holds countless people back, regardless of their income level. It's the filter through which you see your financial world, and that filter is smudged with worry. Try this for a week. Whenever you feel that familiar knot of scarcity, pause. Don't just react. Ask yourself, is this feeling a response to a genuine immediate threat? Or is it the ingrained scarcity mindset kicking in? This one habit of simply observing the feeling without judgment started to change everything for me because it created space between the feeling and my reaction. It reveals the shadow for what it is, not a brick wall, but a perception. Now, before we can truly build abundance, we have to understand the foundation it's built upon. And often, that means confronting a shadow that follows many of us without us even knowing it. What is this shadow? It's the scarcity mindset in action. Think of it like this. Imagine your brain has two modes, abundance mode, and survival mode. When you're stuck in the scarcity mindset, your brain defaults to survival mode, even if there's no lion chasing you or no immediate financial threat. It's this deep-seated belief that there isn't enough to go around. Not enough money, definitely not enough time. Maybe not enough opportunity, even not enough love or respect. It feels like you're constantly operating with limited resources, like playing a video game where your health bar is always critically low. When you're in this mode, your focus narrows dramatically. You become hyper-vigilant about what you lack, perpetually comparing yourself to others. That feeling of constantly being behind, stressed, and worried about the future, even when you're managing to pay bills and perhaps save a little, that's the scarcity mindset whispering lies in your ear. You look at someone else's success, a colleague's promotion, a friend buying a house, even just a fancy vacation post on social media. And instead of feeling inspired or happy for them, you feel a pang of intense envy or resentment. It feels like their win somehow diminishes your chances, like they took the last piece of the pie, even though the pie wasn't communal to begin with. This leads to short-term, fearful thinking, an unwillingness to take calculated risks, and a tendency to hoard resources, whether that's actual money or even non-monetary things like useful information or offers of help, because the fear of giving anything away and being left with nothing is paralyzing. Here's the really surprising insight, the myth bust, if you will. Scarcity isn't always a direct result of actual lack. You could be earning a solid income, living comfortably by external standards, and still be gripped by the scarcity mindset. It's often a perception, a program installed in your mind, perhaps through childhood experiences, societal messages, or past financial setbacks. You might earn a decent income, pay your bills, maybe even save a little, yet still feel perpetually behind, stressed, and worried about the future. That colleague who got the promotion, that friend who bought the house, their success doesn't actually diminish yours, but the scarcity mindset makes it feel that way, fueling resentment instead of inspiration. It's like looking at a gym where everyone is getting stronger and feeling weaker yourself, rather than realizing their progress is proof you can get stronger too. Understanding this distinction, that scarcity is often internal, a feeling or a belief, rather than an external reality, is the crucial first step. It's not about magically having more money right now. It's about changing the lens through which you view your current reality and future potential. To start noticing this shadow in your own life, try this for 3 days. Consciously note every single time you compare yourself financially to someone else and feel diminished, anxious, or envious. Just observe it. Don't judge yourself for the thought. Simply become aware that it happened. This one habit of conscious observation can start to loosen the grip of the scarcity mindset, showing you just how often it pops up uninvited. You've laid the groundwork, maybe started tracking your spending, perhaps even identified a big goal. But now you hit a wall, and for many beginners, especially those living paycheck to paycheck, this wall has a name: scarcity. The scarcity mindset feels brutally, undeniable real when every single dollar is accounted for, often before it even lands in your bank account. You hear yourself saying, maybe silently, "I can't afford to save. Investing? Are you kidding? I can't afford to eat out this month." Or even, tragically, "I can't afford to learn a new skill because I need to work every hour I can just to survive." This perspective isn't just understandable given challenging circumstances. It quickly becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy that locks you in. It's like trying to run a marathon while constantly looking down at your feet worried about tripping over the very next pebble. You completely miss the path ahead, the water stations, the people cheering you on. Operating solely from scarcity prevents you from seeing, let alone taking, the potential pathways out of scarcity. You might pass up a genuinely free online course that could significantly boost your earning potential because you're too stressed about finding the immediate gas money for work tomorrow. You might avoid a potentially valuable networking event, even a free community one, because it feels like a waste of 2 hours you could spend hustling for just a few extra bucks right now. The irony is thick enough to cut with a dull knife. The desperate need for money actively prevents the actions that could lead to more money. Talk about a cruel cosmic joke. Here's the surprising insight, the crucial paradigm shift that many miss. Even small, strategic investments of time or minimal money into yourself are often the most abundant actions you can take when you have limited funds. You're not just spending, you're planting a seed that can yield a future harvest. Think of it less like spending your last dollar and more like placing a single high-yield seed in fertile soil. It might feel counterintuitive when the ground feels barren, but that seed holds potential the barren ground doesn't. Instead of reflexively saying, "I can't afford it," because let's be honest, that's often a thought-stopping dead end. Start asking the empowering question, how could I afford to invest in X? That skill, that resource, saving just $5 this week. This reframing shifts you from victim to strategist. It forces your brain to look for solutions, not just state limitations. Try this for a week. Every time you think, "I can't afford," about something genuinely beneficial for your future self, saving, learning, a health investment, immediately pivot to, "How could I afford?" Then, grab a notebook or your phone notes app and brainstorm 3 concrete, even tiny, ways you could find a small amount of money or, critically, focused time to invest in your future self this week. Could you skip one low-value purchase? Sell something unused? Swap a time-wasting activity for learning. These micro-actions are your escape plan from the scarcity trap. Section 4. All right, let's talk about a phase many of you find yourselves in. A place earn flow zone calls being mid-earners stuck in more. You've put in the work. The frantic, urgent pressure of just scraping by? That's largely behind you. The wolf isn't howling at the door every night anymore. You've established stability, a steady job, maybe you're building a family, and yes, you can finally afford some of those comforts you only used to dream about. You might even earn 5, maybe 10 times what you did starting out. This should feel like freedom, right? Like you've finally arrived and can relax. Here's the surprising and frankly frustrating part. For many, the scarcity mindset, it doesn't disappear. It just scales with your income. You've escaped basic survival mode, but now the game changes. It becomes about keeping up. The pressure shifts from affording basic needs to maintaining a lifestyle that signals your new level of success. You upgrade the car, not because you needed a new one, but because the old one felt inadequate amongst your new peer group. You move to a bigger house, take nicer vacations, enroll the kids in more expensive activities, all subtly or not so subtly, fueled by that underlying, insidious fear of not having enough, but now relative to your new social or professional circle. Or, just as paralyzing, the constant, gnawing anxiety that you could lose it all and tumble back down. People often underestimate how deeply ingrained this more equals better and barely enough is still scarcity loop is. You have significantly more resources than before, but paradoxically, you might feel less free than ever. Why? Because you've tied those increased resources to ever-increasing obligations. Those bigger mortgage payments, the car loan that seems to eat a whole paycheck, the pressure to take Instagrammable vacations, they're obligations driven by that lingering fear and the constant comparison to others. You're on a treadmill, and it's not the cheap, wobbly one you started on. It's a high-tech, expensive model, but it's still a treadmill. You're convinced you're running towards security, towards enough, but the finish line keeps moving because enough is still being defined by scarcity, not satisfaction. You're running faster just to stay in the same place of underlying anxiety. This is the core concept for mid-earners. Increased income doesn't automatically solve scarcity thinking. It often amplifies it if the underlying mindset isn't addressed. More money, more problems? Sometimes, yes, if those problems are self-created anxieties, tied to lifestyle maintenance and comparison. This one habit changed everything for me. Consciously identifying expenses driven purely by external validation or unconscious comfort seeking tied to this scaling scarcity. Try this for a week. Identify just one non-essential subscription, club membership, or recurring expense that you took on primarily because it felt like the next step, or part of keeping up, or simply comfort that masks underlying financial unease. Ask yourself, what's stopping you from letting it go? Then cancel it today. Seriously, reclaim that small amount of money. Yes, but more importantly, reclaim the mental energy tied to maintaining that expense and the perception it represents. It's a small step off the treadmill. Section 1. Introduction. Welcome to today's transformation dive, right here in the Earn Flow Zone. Ever feel like you're stuck on a financial treadmill? Maybe a really fancy, high-tech treadmill, but a treadmill nonetheless. You're earning more. You're saving. You're doing all the right things. And yet, that feeling of real financial power, of unstoppable momentum, still feels just out of reach. Maybe it's like you've got the engine of a sports car, but you're stuck driving in first gear because you're afraid of hitting the gas too hard. Or perhaps you're meticulously building a financial fortress, brick by brick, but you haven't realized the drawbridge is still up, keeping opportunity out as much as keeping your resources in. This isn't just about how much money is in your bank account right now. It's about the mindset that allows your bank account and your life to truly flourish, to scale, to build something far bigger than you ever thought possible. We're talking about the subtle, often invisible, mental barriers that keep you from reaching the next level, no matter how hard you work. You might be disciplined, you might be smart, you might even have significant assets, but if you're holding on to the wrong ideas, you're essentially trying to grow a giant redwood tree in a tiny pot. In this session, we're going to crack open some uncomfortable truths about how even the most driven, successful people can unconsciously sabotage their own exponential growth. We'll look at where scarcity thinking hides in plain sight, even when you think you've banished it forever. If you're tired of incremental gains and are ready to understand what truly unlocks massive financial flow and impact, then you're in the right place. If you're into real, actionable money and mindset content that helps you break through your own limits, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think. Get this message out to others who need it. And hey, drop a comment with where you're watching from, or your biggest money habit win so far this year. I love hearing your stories. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. Section 5. Ambitious Builders Limiting Growth. Okay, let's talk about a surprising bottleneck, one that often hits hardest when you least expect it. For the ambitious builders among us, you're not a beginner anymore. You've built something significant, a thriving business, a robust career trajectory, maybe even a solid investment portfolio that's starting to hum. You fought through the early fears of not having enough, of making ends meet. You feel confident, capable, perhaps even abundant in many areas. Surely, scarcity thinking is behind you now, right? You've earned your way out of that mindset. Not so fast. This is where scarcity gets crafty. It morphs. For ambitious builders, it doesn't always look like clipping coupons or stressing over a $5 coffee. It manifests as something far more insidious, something that chokes off scale and impact, rather than just direct cash flow. Think of yourself as the head chef of a wildly popular restaurant you built from scratch. The food is amazing because you make the perfect sauce. You know exactly how long to sear that steak. But the restaurant can only serve so many people because you can't bring yourself to trust a sous chef to make the sauce, or delegate plating, or even share your recipes with a new location. This scarcity in the ambitious builder looks like an intense inability to delegate. The classic line, "No one can do it as well as me." This isn't just perfectionism talking. It's often a deep-seated fear, a scarcity of trust, a fear that letting go means losing control, losing quality, and ultimately, losing the success you've worked so hard to build. It's seeing potential partners not as collaborators who can expand the pie, but as competitors waiting to steal your secret recipe or your market share. You might find yourself hoarding information, resources, or even contacts, believing that sharing diminishes your own power, that the world is a zero-sum game where if someone else gains, you must lose. Here's the shocking truth, the counterintuitive reality. This advanced-level scarcity thinking doesn't primarily limit your personal wealth in the moment. It limits your impact and the sheer scale you can achieve. You become the absolute cap on your own growth. True abundance in business and high-level finance isn't about how much you can hold on to yourself. It's about how effectively you can leverage resources, ideas, and people. It's about building teams, fostering collaboration, and creating win-win scenarios that generate value far beyond what one individual could ever produce alone. Think about the wealthiest people in the world. They aren't solo operators hoarding every task. They are masters of building systems, empowering others, and creating networks. They understand that 1% of 1,000 is far greater than 100% of 10. Trying to do everything yourself is trying to earn 100% of 10 forever. This week, I want you to identify one specific area in your work, business, or even a complex personal project where you are hesitant to truly trust, delegate, or collaborate. Maybe it's a specific task you always do yourself because you don't trust anyone else to get it right, or an idea you're keeping secret, or a potential partnership you're avoiding. Ask yourself honestly, what's the specific fear stopping you? Is it fear of failure? Fear of losing control? Fear of being ripped off? Then take one tiny, almost insignificant step towards entrusting someone else with a piece of that task, sharing a small part of that idea with a trusted peer, or exploring a low-stakes collaboration. Try this for a week. Delegate just one small thing you normally wouldn't. Share one non-critical piece of information. This one habit shift Moving from hoarding to enabling can start to change everything for you. Section 12. Wind down, reflective close. We've covered a lot today, peeling back the layers on how scarcity thinking, in all its forms, can silently dictate our financial reality and limit our growth. From the initial fears of not having enough to the subtle control hoarding of the ambitious builder, the pattern remains consistent. A focus on holding tight rather than allowing flow. A fear of loss overriding the potential for gain. The one big takeaway here, the thread that connects all these points, is this. Your financial state is less a reflection of external conditions and more a direct consequence of your internal programming, your core beliefs about money, abundance, and your own worth. That invisible ceiling you sometimes feel bumping up against isn't the market, it's not your industry, and it's often not even your skill set. It's the limit of your mindset. The potential long-term benefit of doing this often uncomfortable inner work is immense. By consciously identifying and challenging these scarcity beliefs, you don't just free up mental space, you unlock the ability to make fundamentally different decisions. You open yourself to leverage, to collaboration, to opportunities you couldn't even see when you were operating from a place of fear and limitation. This isn't just about having more money, it's about building a life and a capacity that allows you to create value on a scale you might currently think is only for other people. This brings us to a deeper insight about money, discipline, and growth. True financial discipline isn't just about saving pennies. It's about having the mental fortitude to trust, to let go, to invest in others, and to delay gratification, not just for a bigger personal payout, but for a bigger collective impact that ultimately generates far greater returns. The wealthiest individuals and most impactful people understand that money is a tool, an energy that multiplies when it flows through systems and connections, not when it's dammed up. The discipline required at the highest levels is often the discipline of mindset, the ability to choose abundance over scarcity, trust over fear, contribution over hoarding. It's a constant practice of aligning your inner world with the expansive future you want to build. Remember, in the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around. You weren't born with the belief that money is scarce, or that you have to fight tooth and nail for every dollar. This isn't some genetic trait passed down through generations. It's a learned behavior, a mindset programmed into you from a very young age. Think of it like installing software on a computer. Sometimes, the pre-installed programs aren't the most helpful. The scarcity mindset is often deeply rooted in childhood experiences. Maybe your family genuinely struggled financially, leading to constant stress and arguments around money. You might have absorbed the tension in the air, feeling the weight of not enough without fully understanding it. Perhaps you were explicitly taught that money is incredibly hard to come by, that you must hold on to it tightly, and that spending is inherently risky. These early lessons, delivered by trusted figures like parents or grandparents, become foundational beliefs about how the financial world works. They are, in essence, your first financial operating system. But it doesn't stop there. Society plays a massive role in reinforcing this programming. We live in a world saturated with messages of competition. Who has the most? Who is the most successful? Often measured by wealth. Who is falling behind? Consumerism thrives on creating a sense of lack. You're constantly shown what you don't have, driving you to acquire things you often don't need, just to feel complete or keep up. Media narratives, particularly news cycles, frequently focus on financial fear, impending recessions, market crashes, rising costs, keeping you in a state of anxiety about your own financial security. It's a constant drip feed of not enough and be afraid. Here's a surprising insight, something you might not consciously realize. Advertising is built on the scarcity mindset. Almost every ad you see, whether for a car, a vacation, or even a toothpaste, works by first highlighting something you supposedly lack: status, happiness, cleanliness, security, belonging, and then presenting their product or service as the solution to fill that void. Don't have this? Feel incomplete? Buy this, and you'll be whole. This programming is relentless. It tells you day in and day out that happiness, security, status, and even love come from acquiring external things, from possessing more. It's like being told the finish line is always just over the next hill, requiring you to keep running, earning, and spending, only to find you still feel like something fundamental is missing. Understanding this is crucial. Many, if not most, of your deepest financial anxieties aren't some inherent flaw in you. They are a direct result of years, sometimes decades, of external programming from your environment, your upbringing, and the constant media noise. It's like discovering you've been running on default settings you didn't choose. Now for the action. For the next 24 hours, I want you to become acutely aware of advertisements. Seriously, turn on the ad blocker later. For this challenge, let the ads wash over you. Observe them, online, on TV, billboards, social media feeds. When you see one, don't just see the product. Ask yourself, consciously, is this advertisement appealing to a feeling of lack or scarcity in me? Is it trying to make me feel inadequate, so I'll buy what they're selling? This simple act of observation shifts you from being a passive recipient of programming to an active investigator of your own mindset. It begins to loosen the grip these external forces have on your financial thoughts and feelings. Okay. Stepping through the journey of growth often means facing down internal roadblocks, and perhaps none is more persistent than the feeling of not enough. People hear about global resources, economic stats, and sometimes the picture painted is one of inherent lack. But let's really unpack this. The notion that there isn't enough opportunity, enough money, enough anything in the world for everyone to succeed isn't the full story. In fact, it's often a powerful, albeit unconscious, mental filter that you apply to your reality. Here's the surprising truth. Scarcity, as you experience it, isn't necessarily the objective state of the world's total resources or opportunities for everyone. While certain physical resources are finite, the universe of information, potential connections, learnable skills, and creative ideas is vast and ever-expanding. There's enough knowledge to improve your situation, enough people to connect with, and enough potential for innovation for countless people to thrive. Your access to and ability to leverage these resources is far less about some universal shortage and far more about the lens through which you view the world, your mindset. Think of it like this. The world isn't a tiny room with limited chairs. It's a massive library. But if your internal programming tells you there are no useful books here, you won't even bother to look. You'll just stand by the entrance feeling deprived. The real game changer is shifting from "there isn't enough out there" to "I am not currently seeing or leveraging what is available." It's like your brain has this powerful filter set to "not enough." And guess what? It's brilliant at finding evidence to support its setting. You miss opportunities because you're convinced they won't work. You avoid learning new skills because you think they're too expensive or too hard. You might even ignore valuable connections because you're focused on competition instead of collaboration. This isn't just theoretical. It's a powerful cause and effect loop. When you operate from a place of financial fear or personal inadequacy, driven by the belief in scarcity, you make decisions that create more scarcity. You might hold on to money so tightly you never invest in yourself or take calculated risks that could pay off. You might impulse spend out of stress, momentarily filling the lack, but worsening your financial state long-term. It's like trying to catch water with a sieve and blaming the lack of water in the bucket on the ocean. Instead of noticing the holes in your approach, focusing on lack doesn't attract abundance. It literally programs your brain to filter it out. This one habit changed everything for me. When I started to consciously combat this filter, today, identify one belief you hold about money or your potential for growth that feels limiting. It could be something like, "I'm just not good with money," or "It's impossible for someone like me to get ahead," or maybe, "Making money requires you to be ruthless, and I'm not that." Write that limiting belief down, plain and simple. Then, right below it, the absolute opposite statement as if it were already 100% true for you. For instance, if the belief is, "I'm not good with money," the opposite is, "I am capable and becoming increasingly skilled at managing and growing my money." If it's impossible for someone like me to get ahead, the opposite is, "Opportunities are available to me, and I am actively seeking and creating them." This simple act starts to loosen the grip of that scarcity filter and opens you up to seeing the opportunities that were there all along. Introducing the abundance mindset. All right, let's shift gears and step out of the shadows of scarcity. Because if scarcity is the shadow, then abundance is absolutely the light. This isn't some airy-fairy concept. It's a deep-seated belief system, the abundance mindset. It's the conviction that there is, in fact, more than enough. Enough money, enough opportunity, enough success, enough happiness for everyone. You realize it's not about pretending problems don't exist or ignoring the bills piling up. It's about approaching those very real challenges not from a place of crippling fear and lack, but from possibility, creativity, and sheer resourcefulness. Think of it like training for a marathon. A scarcity mindset says, "There aren't enough slots. I'm not fast enough. Someone else will win." An abundance mindset says, "There are plenty of races. I can improve my time, and helping others train might even make me stronger." When you start operating from abundance, your entire perspective shifts. People often underestimate the power of this simple switch. You begin to see opportunities where others hit a wall. You find yourself collaborating naturally, not just competing like a hamster on a wheel, trying to hoard every seed. Your focus pivots from merely accumulating resources to actively creating value in the world. You trust the process. You believe that putting good things out there, whether it's help, innovative ideas, or genuine value, will cycle back to you, often in surprisingly delightful ways. It's kind of like baking a pie. You're not worried about using up all the flour because you know you can always get more ingredients to make another. And sharing slices makes everyone happier, including you. Here's the surprising insight, the absolute game changer. Abundance isn't about having $1 million sitting in your bank account right this second. That's the finish line, not the starting point. Abundance is about believing in your capacity to create value and trusting that resources can flow to you as a result. It's not a state of having that comes from passive wishing. It's a state of mind that enables the action required to achieve. Think of it as the internal engine that powers your financial growth. Without the belief in abundance, the engine sputters or doesn't even start. It's the foundation upon which sustainable prosperity is built. This is a core concept that impacts every single financial and personal growth decision you make. This one habit changed everything for me, consciously looking for evidence of abundance. Try this for 24 hours. Actively look for examples of collaboration, generosity, or unexpected opportunities in your environment, your newsfeed, or even just talking to people. Notice how those interactions and events feel fundamentally different, how they contrast sharply with interactions driven by a scarcity perspective. See the difference, not just intellectually, but feel it viscerally. It's a powerful exercise in rewiring your brain. Okay, so you've heard about the abundance mindset, right? And maybe you're thinking, that sounds great, but my bank account looks like it's on a strict diet. How am I supposed to feel abundant when I'm counting pennies? It feels, well, counterintuitive, maybe even a little fake. But this is precisely where shifting your thinking becomes most powerful. For a beginner, abundance isn't about manifesting $1 million tomorrow just by thinking positive thoughts. Let's be real. That's not how physics works, or finance for that matter. Abundance, when you're starting out, is about believing deeply in your potential to learn, to create value, to solve problems, and ultimately, to attract resources into your life. It's like starting a new workout routine. You don't look like a bodybuilder on day one, but you believe that showing up and doing the reps builds muscle over time. Financial abundance is built the same way, rep by rep, skill by skill. Instead of staring at your bank balance and saying, I can't afford to learn that skill, or I can't afford to start that side hustle, the abundance-minded beginner asks, how can I access this opportunity using the resources I do have? They look for the free online courses, the library books, the mentors who offer pro bono advice, the communities sharing knowledge. They see the future possibility, the potential return on investing their time, their energy, and their effort. These are assets you possess right now, regardless of your cash flow situation. Think of it like leveling up in a video game. You might start with basic gear, but every quest completed, every skill learned, increases your power and opens up new areas and opportunities. Your most powerful early assets aren't dollars. They're curiosity, grit, and the willingness to learn. Here's the surprising insight, the one that flipped things for me when I was starting out. Your most valuable financial asset, especially in the beginning, isn't your current income. It's your potential to learn and adapt. Your capacity to acquire skills that are in demand, to understand market needs, and to solve problems for others. This potential is an appreciating asset. If you invest in increasing that asset through learning, practicing, networking, your capacity to earn will inevitably grow. And when your capacity grows, financial abundance follows. It's a direct cause and effect. Focusing on increasing your capacity to earn is far more productive than just wishing you had more money right now. So, let's make this actionable. I want you to commit just 30 minutes today, or maybe tomorrow morning, to researching one free or low-cost resource. This resource should be something that could genuinely increase a skill or piece of knowledge related to earning. Maybe it's a free coding tutorial, a library book on copywriting, a podcast about a growing industry, or a free online course on digital marketing. Don't overthink it. Just find one thing and explore it for 30 minutes. This one small action is you investing in your most valuable asset, your potential. Try this just once this week and see how it feels to actively build your capacity instead of focusing on your current limitations. What's one skill you've been curious about? All right, let's pick up where we left off, talking about taking control of your financial narrative. Now, for those of you who've moved beyond the initial struggles, maybe you're firmly in that mid-earner bracket. Income is decent, bills are covered, maybe even some savings exist. This is a powerful position, but it comes with its own unique challenge. How do you embrace true abundance here, rather than just escalating the more is never enough treadmill? You see it everywhere, right? The neighbor gets a new car. You suddenly feel the itch for an upgrade. Friends are renovating, and your perfectly fine kitchen starts looking inadequate. It's like playing a never-ending game where the goalposts keep moving further away, fueled by comparison rather than genuine progress. But true abundance for the mid-earner isn't about funding an upgraded lifestyle simply driven by keeping up. It's about strategically using your increased resources. Think of your income not just as money to spend, but as a tool, like a high-quality chisel or a powerful engine. How do you use this tool to build something lasting? This means shifting your focus dramatically. Instead of directing every extra dollar towards funding the next visible upgrade, the slightly bigger house, the fancier vacation, the latest gadget, you redirect it towards investment. This isn't just about stocks and bonds, although those are key. It's about investing in assets that grow, skills that increase your earning potential or create new income streams, and experiences that genuinely add value and richness to your life without draining your future. It's seeing your income as the capital to build financial freedom and future opportunity, not just a slightly larger bucket for ever-escalating bills. People often underestimate the power of this shift at this specific income level. They feel comfortable, perhaps too comfortable, and fall prey to lifestyle creep. They earn more, they spend more, and surprisingly, they often feel just as financially constrained, or even more so, than when they earned less. It's like trying to fill a leaky bucket. Earning more doesn't help if the hole gets bigger at the same rate. A truly abundance-minded mid-earner looks at their budget not with dread, but with a strategic eye, asking, how can I optimize this spending to free up capital for investments that will grow my wealth over time? Maybe you delay that fancy patio furniture purchase for a year to max out your Roth IRA, or you invest a few $100s into a course that teaches you a valuable freelance skill. It might feel counterintuitive in the moment, saying no to something nice now. Here's the surprising insight. And honestly, this one habit changed everything for me. True financial security, that deep sense of freedom and control, comes not just from earning more, but from making your money work for you. This requires a fundamental trust in long-term growth over immediate gratification and a resolute focus on creation, building assets, skills, future opportunities over simple consumption. You're planting a forest, not just eating the berries you found today. It takes discipline, yes, but it's incredibly liberating. It frees you from the hamster wheel of needing more just to maintain a certain look or feeling. Try this for a week. Open up your bank statement or budgeting app. Look at your spending not just for necessities, but for discretionary items. Now ask yourself, Where could you redirect just a small amount? Seriously, even $20 or $50 from consumption into investment. This could be starting a micro-investment account, putting it into a high-yield savings account earmarked for future investment, or buying a book on a skill you want to learn. This one small action begins to rewire your brain from spend to grow. 1. Abundance for the ambitious builder. Let's talk about a mindset that becomes absolutely non-negotiable when you're moving beyond just having money to actually building something significant. For the ambitious builder, the one creating systems, scaling impact, and adding massive value to the world, abundance thinking isn't just a nice-to-have, it's the essential fuel. You see, scarcity thinking tells you the pie is small, and you have to fight tooth and nail for your sliver. It whispers doubts. You have to do it all yourself. Don't trust anyone. Competitors are enemies to be destroyed. But when you're building something meant to last, something meant to serve many, that mindset is like trying to build a skyscraper with a single hammer and a handful of nails. You'll just exhaust yourself, cap your potential, and maybe end up with a rickety shack. Abundance thinking, however, shifts the entire game. It tells you the market is vast, opportunities are everywhere, and the real power comes from connection, collaboration, and contribution. It's about moving beyond personal gain to creating systems and value that genuinely benefit many. This means learning to trust your team, empowering them to make decisions and contribute their brilliance. It means actively seeking out and forming strong, strategic partnerships with complementary businesses, seeing them not as threats, but as potential force multipliers. It's recognizing that lifting others, whether through mentorship, collaboration, or simply participating positively in your industry's ecosystem, often lifts you even higher than you could reach alone. Think of it like building a thriving city instead of just one isolated tower. The city grows because different people, different businesses, and different ideas connect and support each other. Here's the surprising insight, the real game changer that busts the myth of the lone wolf entrepreneur. The biggest leaps in wealth, influence, and impact often come not from protecting your turf or doing everything yourself, but from leveraging the sheer abundance of talent, ideas, connections, and resources already available in the world. This requires trust in others, trust in the process, and trust that contributing to the collective prosperity won't diminish yours. It requires a willingness to share the pie, knowing that a bigger, more vibrant pie benefits everyone, including you, far more than guarding a tiny, static slice. It's counterintuitive in a crush-your-competition culture, but try seeing your market not as a battlefield, but as a vibrant ecosystem where different players can thrive together. This shift from scarcity to abundance is a decision, a muscle you have to build, and it often starts with confronting fears. Fear of losing control, fear of being taken advantage of, fear that someone else's success means your failure. But ask yourself, what's stopping you from reaching out? What potential collaboration or partnership have you been avoiding just due to fear or perceived competition? Maybe it's reaching out to that person in a similar niche you admire, or proposing a joint project with a business that serves your audience, but in a different way. Try this for a week. Identify just one such potential connection you've shied away from. Reach out to that person with a low-stakes, exploratory message. Not a massive pitch, just an open-minded invitation for a brief chat to explore possibilities. You might be astonished at the doors abundance thinking opens. So, we've traveled together through the different facets of finance and growth, hitting everything from tracking expenses to scaling your vision. And now, we arrive at perhaps the most pivotal point of all, the choice you make today. We spent time on the scarcity mindset, that relentless feeling of not enough that feels like a constant hum of anxiety in the background. It shrinks your world, limits what you see as possible, and unfortunately, it dictates so many decisions you make, regardless of whether you have $50 or $50,000 in the bank. It shows up everywhere, from the beginner too afraid to invest $5 to the seasoned entrepreneur who can't trust anyone enough to delegate and scale. This mindset keeps people running on a hamster wheel of fear and limited potential. We contrasted this, didn't we, with the abundance mindset, the profound belief in possibility, opportunity, and continuous growth. This isn't just wishing things were better. It's a pragmatic belief that there are resources, solutions, and paths forward even if you can't see them all right now. It's the engine that enables strategic action and opens up doors you didn't even realize existed. It's the difference between seeing a problem and seeing a puzzle to solve. What happens if you choose to ignore this fundamental lesson? You stay stuck. You might increase your income. You might even save a decent amount. But the stress? It never really goes away. You'll keep comparing yourself to others, feeling that nagging sense of less than, making critical financial and personal decisions based on fear instead of seizing genuine opportunity. This path limits your own potential in deeply significant ways. Maybe you skip that online course that could unlock a new income stream because you're focused on saving every penny. Or you stay trapped by lifestyle debt because you feel you need to project an image of success you don't yet feel internally. You might even build a fortune, but remain a prisoner of not enough, because true abundance isn't just a number on a screen. It's a feeling, a state of being, an internal reality you cultivate. That's the myth we need to bust. Wealth doesn't automatically grant abundance. It simply amplifies your existing mindset. This deep dive isn't about slapping on a happy face and repeating empty affirmations. It's about rewiring your brain's automatic responses. It's a practice, like going to the gym for your mind. Every single day, sometimes every single hour, you make tiny, seemingly insignificant choices that either reinforce the scarcity wiring or build the abundance muscle. This isn't magic. It's neurology and deliberate action. So here is the clear, doable step you can take today, right now, as you finish watching this. For the rest of today, whenever a thought pops into your head about money, resources, or opportunity that makes you feel fear, stress, or a sense of lack, that familiar not enough knot in your stomach, pause, just for a second. Acknowledge the thought. Don't judge it. Then, consciously, deliberately, try to reframe it. Ask yourself, where is the possibility here? What small action can I take, even if it feels insignificant? What resource do I actually have right now? Is it time, a specific skill, a connection I can reach out to, or even just free information available online? This one habit, this practice of noticing the shadow and actively looking for the light, changed everything for me. It starts small, but every reframe builds that muscle. Start flexing it today. It's the most powerful choice you can make for your financial freedom and your peace of mind. In the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around.